Ever sat down to give a talk or run a live video only to feel completely scattered? So many ideas, so little structure. That is common. I've been there too. But today I'm going to show you how to organize your thoughts so your talks feel smooth, natural, and powerful. And it's a very simple framework. So if you stay with me to the end, today you're going to walk away with my simple speak framework that makes outlining any talk or workshop or video super easy and super effective. Hi, everybody. I'm Janelle Anderson, your virtual events visionary. I help coaches and speakers grow their business and attract more clients through speaking and hosting virtual events. And it's the hottest thing out there, in my opinion. So, before I teach you the framework, let's talk about why organizing your thoughts ahead of time is a total game changer. A lot of people tell me, you know what, I just speak off the cuff. I just improvise. I just like to get on stage and just start talking. Well, unless you're a very seasoned speaker, that's really not a great idea because you can easily go off track. So, when you're organized, though, ahead of time, and you put your thoughts together into this framework I'm going to be teaching you, a lot of great things happen. There's a lot of benefits to that. Number one is that you'll speak with more confidence because you know exactly what you're going to say and how you're going to say it and when you're going to say it. You know where you're going in your talk, and it keeps you focused. So you also will avoid going down those dreaded rabbit holes, getting off track, telling side stories that have nothing to do with what your topic is. And the third reason that being organized helps is that you cut down on those filler words like and so, and you know. Some of those are my favorite filler words. When I don't follow a plan, I start using all my filler words. And the reason is because I'm trying to think on my feet because I didn't organize my thoughts ahead of time. So I'm filling that in with filler words as I'm thinking, like, you know, and we do that all the time. So you will notice a lot fewer filler words when you've organized your thoughts ahead of time. You also keep your mind from going blank. Have you ever been giving a talk and all of a sudden your mind just is blank? You completely forgot what you were talking about. And then you're nervous because your mind just went blank and you're trying to think on your feet and people are sitting there waiting for you. And then that makes you more nervous and makes your mind go even more blank. Well, having a plan ahead of time helps that to not happen. And then this is one of the best benefits is that your talk has flow to it and it's structure to it. And people enjoy listening to your talk a lot more when there's a flow and a structure because it connects the ideas together and people can follow. And when you aren't following a flow and a structure and you're just kind of talking off the cuff or randomly talking about things, people lose track of what you're saying and they don't feel that flow and structure and they'll end up feeling confused. And a confused mind doesn't buy. Also, a confused mind won't stay with you. So if you want them to be engaged, then have a plan in place and prepare. Preparation gives you freedom on stage. And I'm not talking about following a script. I'm talking about being prepared, knowing your flow and your structure, and knowing what your main point is going to be and your theme. And then it gives you that freedom to tell a joke or to throw in something that just occurred to you because you'll get right back on track again. But if you don't have a plan, those random thoughts that occur to you while you're talking can take you right off track. Before you know it, you're down some other rabbit hole, right? And then you've lost your audience. So speaking of being confident and clear when you speak, I want to share with you something that's coming up this week. On May 14th, I'm launching a brand new masterclass series called Stories That Move Hearts, the 3 core stories every workshop needs. So if you want to learn how to craft stories, that's another way to keep people engaged. Put stories into your talk. And if you want to learn how to craft stories in a way that keep people engaged, that attract more clients, that create that emotional connection in your workshops, you don't want to miss this masterclass series. It is going to be phenomenal. It's 4 weeks in a row. We're going to dive into those 3 stories. You're going to craft them. We're going to have a chance within the masterclass to share your story and get feedback. So I'm going to put the link in the chat and in YouTube. You'll see it below. Grab it now because we're getting ready to start. So let me give you my go-to system for easily organizing your thoughts before any talk. Just an easy way to put together a talk. And it's called the Speak framework. So you want to write this down because it's an acronym for the word speak. S is start with the goal. Think about before you put your content together, what's the big takeaway? What's the big action step that you want your audience to take from your talk? What's the big aha moment? The big insight? Another way to think about this is what is the core message of your talk? For example, I talk about speaking a lot and running events. So maybe I'm giving a talk that the theme is your voice matters. You could think of a message as a short phrase that people can hang on to, sink their teeth into, chew on. That key phrase that you want to resonate with them and that you want them to remember long after your talk is over. That key phrase that encapsulates the core message of your talk. And then once you have that, you can weave your content in or you can weave the message within your content so that it resonates and it keeps showing up. And everything you're talking about leads to that message or relates to that theme. Your voice matters. Let's say I have an audience in front of me of people who are not speaking up because they don't believe that their voice matters and they've been hiding out. They don't believe people want to hear what they have to say. And so I want them to grab a hold of this concept that their voice does matter. And so I'm going to build my talk around that. And that keeps me on track. So my key points are going to be related to helping them grab a hold of that idea that their voice matters. And that leads me to the P in this framework. P in Speak stands for pick your key points. Once you have your theme, the core message of your talk, then you want to think about 3 key points or 3 ideas that will lead them to having that big takeaway or that big aha moment. So for the theme of Your Voice Matters, as the example, if I want them to walk away from my talk really believing, or at least starting to believe that their voice does matter, so that then they take action and start to speak up, what are 3 main ideas I could build into my talk that would lead them to that realization, to that aha, to that breakthrough? I might start off talking about, something like, you might not believe that your voice matters. Maybe you're thinking, well, if I speak up, who's going to want to hear what I have to say? My ideas are dumb or stupid or whatever. They don't matter. But think about famous people that you know. For example, Martin Luther King Jr. What if he had never shared his big idea of his dream? I have a dream, the famous speech that led to the civil rights movement. What if he never shared that idea? What if he believed that his voice didn't matter? And so he kept it to himself. Think about all the lives that he has impacted from that one speech and that one idea. A whole movement was spurred by that. And if he had never shared it, think about all the lives that would never have been impacted. So I could use that in my speech, right? I could use that in my talk. And then my next point might be getting them to think of one idea that they have that they've never shared and having them write it down and look at it and think about what the impact could have on people if they shared it, what might be possible. And then the third point might be, what if you don't ever share it? What's the opposite of that? What might not ever happen? So all of these points are building into that theme or that message that your voice matters. I want them to come up with that I want them to have that breakthrough moment at the end of my talk. So build in 3 ideas that will help lead to the result. That's the P. Pick your key points. Now, the E is engage. Engage them with stories or examples as you're sharing your ideas. Bring those points to life that you decided to cover 3 points and tell a story. Maybe it's your own hero's journey with this message. Maybe you, for example, using this example, maybe you felt like your voice didn't matter. Maybe you have a story around that. Whatever your message is of your talk, maybe you have a story. Or another great way to bring these points to life is to use metaphors that illustrate your ideas, right? A metaphor might be, I use metaphors all the time, like, you know, you if a train never leaves the station, it doesn't get anywhere. So you got to get moving and get into action so you can change course once you're in action, but the train sitting in the station doesn't go anywhere. That's a metaphor to make a point about taking action. So think about a metaphor. Gardening or the nature is full of metaphors. And there might be examples in your life that you could share, short little stories of something that you learned, something that happened today, an everyday story that could bring your point to life. So that's E, engaging with the stories and examples. A, add a call to action. A is for action. Guide them to the next step. So if you're sharing all about why their voice matters and leading them through your key points and your illustrations and stories to that, what's the call to action? What action do you want them to take? It goes back to the goal, what that big takeaway is for them. And you want to give them specific steps to take, like click on the link below to join my program. Download this PDF, which will give you a checklist of things to do, or join my group. Give them something specific to do, an action to take, so that then they engage with you further. One of my mentors always said, never waste a talk. In other words, you don't want to give a great talk and have it lead nowhere, have nothing happen afterwards. The audience listens to your talk and they go away and you never hear from them again. That's wasting a talk. You want to have a call to action at the end where they somehow get into your world, whether it's joining a group or getting on your email list or maybe stepping into your course or whatever it might be, so that then you can further that relationship with them. So give them specific steps to take at the end that help them take that big takeaway that they just had, that big aha moment, a step further and start to put it into action. And the K in Speak is keep it tight. Trim the fluff. Focus only on your message, only on what matters. Get out your red pen and cross out anything in your talk that doesn't take them to that call to action and doesn't relate to the core message. Anything that's extra, that leads off on a rabbit trail or a side story, take it out. One of the most powerful things you can do with your talk is take out all the extras and just pare it down to the core message. Then you can go deep with it and you can give lots of examples and stories, and people will leave your talk feeling like, oh, I got something I can actually take action on. I got this one piece, this one really great morsel that I can digest and absorb. So cut out the fluff. So that's the Speak framework. S, start with a goal. P, pick your key points. E, engage with stories and examples. A, call to action. And K, keep it tight. So take that framework and the next talk that you work on, use the Speak framework, because when you use this framework, you'll never feel scattered again. You'll have a plan. You'll know exactly what to say, how to say it, and you'll have total confidence. Your listeners will be able to follow with you. They'll walk away feeling like they got something really valuable. And if you want to learn how to confidently tell stories within your talks or within your workshops, within your events, stories that move hearts, that connect with people on an emotional level, that attract to you your ideal clients. Stories are crucial to any time you speak, anytime you run an event, anytime that you are sharing a message, you'll want to incorporate really good stories. So check out Stories That Move Hearts. It's starting May 14th. I would love to have you join me. Again, I'm going to drop the link here in the chat, here in Zoom, and also in the YouTube, under the YouTube video. You'll see that. And take action today because we're getting ready to start. So I hope this was helpful to you. Comment below. Tell me which part of the Speak framework you're going to try first. And then join me next week for another tip to help you speak, host your virtual events, and build your coaching business. I am so happy that I had you here today. And right now, I can open up the Zoom room here and find out if there's any questions or comments. Anybody here want to ask a question? Let me go over here and let you unmute yourselves. Hang on, I've got a question. You got a hand raised. So Laura, what's your question?
Yes, thank you for the tip. Very helpful.
Yeah.
I actually have a speech coming up at the end of the month, so this is very timely.
Great.
So thank you for that. The question is about the length of the speech. Does that determine how many of the key points that we focus on? I know you mentioned three, but for instance, I'm giving a 50-minute presentation actually. So would I just really focus on three? Is that across the board or does it matter on the length?
3 is the magic number. Not that you have to stick to it. I mean, I'd say between 3 to 5. But 3, for some reason, the way that we as humans take in information, and I know this from when I taught school as well, you go beyond 3 and sometimes you'll lose people. It becomes too, it's more than they can hold on to in that frame time. Even 50 minutes. I was the keynote speaker for a conference that they gave me an hour and a half. Like, holy cannoli, that's a lot of time. I kept it to the 3 main points, but I was able to dive a lot deeper. I was able to tell more stories. I was able to give them some things to do, and I gave them some exercises and things to write down. So that's the beauty of this format is no matter how long your talk is, if you keep it to 3, you just take those 3 points and dive even deeper. Think about what else you could share with them, get them doing something with you. You can tell a longer story, uh, and that just and then of course summarizing at the end. Here's the 3 things, and they can walk away with the ability to just take that in and understand it and absorb it and take action on it. If you get beyond that, even 5 points, it gets to the point where people kind of lose track. That happens to me all the time when I listen to speakers and they give a whole lot of things. I lose it. I'm like, I can't remember all this stuff. And then again, a confused mind never buys. A confused mind doesn't take action. So I use this phrase a lot: simplify to amplify. Simplify your message, simplify everything, and it will amplify your message. Um,
That's
People will
helpful.
remember it, and they'll remember you, and that's the main thing.
Alrighty. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a great question. Thanks for asking that.
You're welcome.
I love what Jan was saying in the chat here. You gain confidence by doing. Confidence is linked to doing. Yes, awesome. Well, thank you, Solara. Wendy, come on up.
I was just wondering if you have preferred methods of storing your information, your speeches when you're online versus in person. I know I use a tablet when I speak in person, and I tend to put things up on my screen behind the Zoom when I speak virtually. Do you have any advice to give on how to set things up so that you have notes to follow as you speak?
Great question. Yeah, so important. I have notes behind me, like when I'm speaking, I'll have when you're online, they don't see your notes. You can just bring up your notes and follow your points. Um, I do use PowerPoint when I'm doing a longer talk, but I don't put a lot of words on PowerPoint. I might have a slide with 3 bullet points for them to kind of see it because people are different. They learn differently. Visual learners, there's visual learners and auditory learners and tactile learners. So you want to cover all of them. And that helps to have like the key points that you're making or just one slide with in big letters, like your main message or like a mic drop thing. You just gave them something that you want them to remember and you want it to stick. Like I might say amplify, simplify to amplify and just have that on the screen. Instead of I don't depend, in other words, I don't depend on my slides to keep me on track. I'll have another document there on the side, or, of course, in your slide presentations, you can put your presentation notes that you follow. And I try to do just not a whole total script, but main points. And if you've prepared enough and you've practiced it enough, then you should be able to just take a bullet point and go on with it from there. That's another key is to really prepare, walk through your content, practice sharing it, tape yourself, record yourself. Really get that content inside of you so you know it really well and you're not depending on reading. You don't want to read, but you can, check in with your notes to make sure you're staying on track. So,
I tend to put a lot of information on my PowerPoints, but that's because I offer the PowerPoint to the audience afterwards so that it includes all my contact information at the very end.
mhm,
And I find that when they listen to me speak, they want to have the PowerPoints.
mhm,
So they feel that they can listen instead of taking notes. But I
mhm.
think your point is valid as
Yeah.
well, to go simple and
Mhm.
then perhaps offer a worksheet of
Yeah.
some kind instead with more of the information. So I've
Mhm.
been debating back and forth which method to earn
Mhm.
as I go forward in this coming year with my speaking engagements.
Great.
So
Well,
it's
one
been
draw.
interesting to hear.
Well, I get what you're saying. A lot of people do want to get your slides, especially if they see a lot of information on your slides. But what can happen is that they're then reading instead of really listening to you.
Mhm.
And what's more engaging actually is to have really great photos or images or graphics on there as you're giving your points and main words or main phrases, and then offer a worksheet or a workbook or an outline, and they can download it. Or sometimes I'll give it to them ahead of time, right at the beginning, if it's online, and they can download it and follow along with me and take notes. Especially if I'm doing like a longer workshop. If I do, I have a whole workbook that goes with my 3-day event.
Mm.
And sometimes I'll give them a worksheet with a workshop. Sometimes I don't, only because I also don't want what they call false closure to happen, where they feel like, oh, I have everything I need now. Thank you. That was great. But I don't need to step into your offer because now you've given me this whole workbook and the recording and I've got everything I need. And they don't have everything they need, but they think they do. So that can happen too. So sometimes I'll just not do the worksheet, just say, take notes and come to my next thing, right? To go deeper with this, where if they're working with me deeper in a course, or a 3-day event or something like that, then yeah, we're going to be doing stuff together because there's more time and then they have the actual workbook.
Interesting.
So,
A lot
yeah.
to think about.
Yeah, you want to be careful with your talks that you're not giving away the store. And you're not trying to give them the whole smorgasbord and overstuff them with so much that they feel like I have to go away and absorb this. I have to take the notes and your PowerPoint slides and work on it myself because it's so much. And then they aren't taking action to go with you because they think, oh, I can't yet because I still have to absorb all this stuff she just gave me. I've done that many times because I'm a teacher. And that was the one mistake I kept making over and over and over. And I would hear them say, oh, this is so much. I've got to go away and study it. And I thought at first, oh, that's great. They really are going to learn a lot. But then I came to realize that that was stopping them from taking action to actually work with me. And if they work with me, they'll get it even more because they're going to have the accountability, they're going to have the feedback, they're going to have that interaction with me to really get this. And when people go off and try to do it on their own, they don't get that full transformation because they're not working directly with you.
Hmm.
And they're trying to do it on their own. And most people give up after a while. They get distracted. They're not being held accountable. They don't know the next step. They don't understand this one thing and they don't have you there, but they think they can do it. So you're probably like me, like you want to give them everything that you possibly can.
Yeah, most places find my lectures and presentations to be very full and comprehensive,
Yeah.
but I am not finding as much follow-up as I
Yeah.
think I would like because I'm a writing coach.
Oh, okay.
Certainly would love to take on additional clients that way.
Absolutely.
Um, but it's kind of a hit or miss. I don't want to give so little that
Yeah,
I'm not asked to return to the conference either. So
exactly.
it's a balancing act.
It is a balancing act.
I think
And you
I'm a
want,
little far to the too much information side at this
yeah,
point, but
yeah.
I'll work on it. I'll
Yeah,
work.
work on that. Try to pare it down to just one main thing that you want them to get out of that, like one taste. It's like the appetizer, and then they want the meal.
Correct.
Awesome. Good question. Thanks for asking. And Jan.
Hi. Um, I'm doing a presentation thing and so there'll be at a summit thing, so there'll be multiple speakers. So my thought was, do you have any suggestions around how to title the speech so that it,
Yeah, good question. Yeah, titles are very important because that's the first thing people see and they make a decision based on the title often if they even want to listen to your talk, right? Especially in a summit.
yeah, the
Titles,
first part,
yeah,
the
first thing they
first
see.
challenge is to get them there.
Yes, yes. Excuse me, getting over a cold here. Um, the most important thing with a title is you want it to tell them what is the result they're going to get from your talk. Have it results or benefit focused. How to blah, 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 blah. Like I just gave a talk in somebody's Facebook group today, and it was the top 3 mistakes event hosts make and how to, how to overcome them or how to avoid them. So they know from the title exactly what I'm talking about. And it's also top of mind for your audience. Like, what is that thing that's the big pain point or the big problem they're trying to solve? And then your talk answers that. And again, the simple language is the best, not fancy language that nobody knows what the heck you mean. Just keep it really focused on simple language. ChatGPT is great for this. Go over there and say, hey, here's my topic. Give me 10 possible titles that focus on the results people will get or the problem that I'm solving with this talk. And then usually it's like how to, or, 3 keys for this or 3 mistakes to avoid, or here's, one step you can take, or, here's I don't know, just things like that are what really grab people's attention. And it needs to really like speak to the problem they want to solve. And you'll find that helps a lot.
Thank,
Awesome question. You're
thank you.
welcome. Good luck on your talks, everybody. I'm excited that you're getting ready to do some talks and let me know how they all turn out. Shoot me an email or a message on Facebook. And I do have a group on Facebook called Coaches Who Speak.
Were
Same.
you, were you going to put that link in? I didn't see it yet.
Oh, yeah. Let me drop the link here. I forgot about that. I'm going to stop my live stream.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Thank you for watching the live stream, you guys.